When you were coming up through school, you want to get a good grade on a test, want to do well in a class. And you would see a classmate that got good grades and did well on tests. And you kind of start to study what they did. Whether they were taking notes, or maybe they sat more towards the front row, or maybe they went to office hours and met with the teacher privately. Or maybe late at night they would study and they'd wake up 20 minutes earlier than everybody else and study a little bit in the morning. I mean, I'm just sharing with you, but whatever they did, you'd see them, right? This isn't a new thing. You're not creating Tesla. You're not putting the logistics of Amazon together. You're taking something that's been done by many people, including somebody in your class, and attempting to get the same result by them by doing what they do. If you wanted to lose weight, you would see somebody else who had lost weight. Maybe seen what they eat, seen how they exercise, maybe have a conversation about calories in and calories out, and get into the carbs and the grams and the macros, but you'd copy them, right? You'd see what they did, you'd observe it, you'd go out and copy it. That just makes sense. A couple of examples that I throw out, but ones that we can all relate to. Somebody in sport, you got this great soccer player, and that's what you want to do, and you'd start to watch them. Do you know how Volkanovski got a title fight at 155 pounds? Because he did it right in front of all of us. He demanded that he was the backup for a fight. He demanded it. And they didn't meet him halfway. They didn't go, oh, you know what, Volk, good for you, and you're the only one that asked. And, here's a little pat on the head, and of course you can be the backup. They didn't do that. I mean, just so you remember the story correctly. So he said it again, and he said it again, and even changed his tune. So I just want to make this perfectly clear. They have not made me the backup. I am the backup. I know where Fight Island's at. I've been there before. I'll book my own ticket. I know what hotel they're at. I know how to do the paperwork. I've worked with that commission before. I mean, he went this far. He went into training camp. He started getting his size up. He started putting videos out. Then it comes out, whether this was accurate or not, but it comes out and gets revealed to us. Well, as a matter of fact, we have a backup for that fight, and it's Benny DeRouche. Benny's on the card. We're going to bring him there ourselves. He will be in shape. He will be on weight. He is our backup. No. Volkanovski said, I'm the backup. I'm coming in. I'm going to be the backup. And he just stayed on it. And I don't remember, and possibly that's exactly what this is. I'm forgetting, and I don't remember. But I don't. A time where the UFC finally goes, boom, this is the guy. This is our backup guy. I don't remember that. Now, that had to have happened because they did weigh him in. So now you got the logistics, and you got, right, you can't just get to the scale because you showed up and crashed the party. But I don't remember that. I don't remember this big announcement coming. It kind of seemed like it was quiet. As a matter of fact, the only announcement that I actually heard that became public is when Benny said, Ali told me I'm the backup. Okay. Fine. Sits in the front row, and what's going to happen then? I mean, what does Volkanovski sitting in the front row proclaiming that he's the backup fighter in case? Well, there was no in case. Charles and Islam made the walk at the agreed upon time, at the agreed upon weight class. There was no in case. Volk doesn't even need to go to the show that night. But he did, and he sat in the front row, and Islam called him in the ring. And somehow security and Reed Harris and people that are kind of in charge of this did not stop him from entering the ring. There was a report. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was very quiet. But Charles Oliveira had come out about 2 weeks after that fight. And whether it was Charles or it was Charles's team. But Team Oliveira came out and said, we were offered the rematch. I'm going to take a break, but that we were offered the immediate rematch. Now, I found that fascinating. It's like, really? Volk's not the guy. Yet here we are. And it's what they call in the world of computer science a brute force attack. That is what Volkanovski did. This was a brute force attack. Now, I'm laying out what's very obvious. I just share for you. It is stunning to me that nobody grabbed that and copied it. Here we've got Volk versus Islam coming up. The only one who has been publicly worried that perhaps that match wouldn't come to fruition is Khabib. So Khabib wasn't worried about his guy. He's assuring us my guy will be there. We don't the injury and we don't feel good. We will be there. And I believe that he will. And Khabib attempted to get Benny DeRouche versus Poirier put on that same card. Now, Khabib had a dual purpose for attempting to make that match. One, Khabib thought, I can establish a number one contender the same night that my guy will defend. We can go right to the press conference. We can get this lined up, get Islam back in there quickly. That was one part of the pie. But another part of the pie is Khabib wanted Benny and Poirier present and prepared to step in to the main event so that Islam was, in fact, guaranteed a competition. And it's very interesting. I mean, gimmick infringement happens in this sport left, right, and center, right? Some guy wanted some attention. He didn't know how to get it. So he grabbed some sunglasses and he wore them indoors at a press conference. But it got him the attention. He stood out a little bit. Another guy comes along at some point, he puts a bow tie on. The only guy wearing suits to these things for years was Georges St. Pierre. Now all the guys, they got to go out there and get a fitted suit. And everybody's got to put on the sunglasses. You got a few guys with the bow tie. I mean, it's one of these things. If one guy does it, we grab and we steal all the time. And we hope that nobody notices. And if they do notice, quite frankly, we don't really care. And then you have something that really works. You have what Volkanovski did. But I don't see anybody trying to copy it. And not just at that weight class. I don't see it at any weight class. Khabib comes out and he tries to get Poirier and Benny together. I mean, this is a big deal. This is them and Khabib telegraphing, openly telegraphing. We take fights on short notice. We take on anybody. We do not care. We want the hardest matches and we want to compete. Okay, great. There's not a lot of guys like that. And it sure is refreshing. And when you have one, you should seize upon that. It creates an opportunity. And I don't know who the backup fighter would be for that match. But I do know that it appears, if they even have one, it will be somebody that the organization contacted and said, we would like you to do this. Okay. But that's not how Volk got it. Volk demanded it, and he positioned himself. And he would not take no, and he went into training. Like, these weren't just words for headlines. Volk was in shape. Volk was prepared. He had his licensing done. That might seem like a small deal, but it's not. It's a big deal. He was in compliance with USADA. It's one of these things. And now he's nothing more than a spectator. The match that he was willing and prepared and out there and weighed in and in compliance to do went on without him. And you'll hear these expressions, right, guys, that 80% of success is just showing up. Volk did not know he was going to get in the ring that night. And I'm not sure that he was going to get in the ring that night. If Oliveira would have won, I'm not certain that we're in the same spot. And I don't mean that at all against Charles. I just don't know what Charles wanted to do. There was massive talk at that time that what Charles' interest was welcoming Conor McGregor back, just by example. We don't have to relive this, but this was not scripted and this was not planned. Volk just happened to be there and Islam happened to call for him. I'm just sharing with you. Of all the things that we're going to copy in the sport, you're willing to take somebody's sunglasses and put them on. You're willing to put on a bow tie and try to say something funny at a press conference. It's one of these things. I support you doing that. I support you ripping guys off. I just don't know, when you have the most successful guy in the room, why he's not the one that you would observe and attempt to imitate.